Hi guys, welcome to class. Today we're going to be talking about fighting invisible tigers. So this is a brand new unit and a lesson that we're going to be talking about. It's focusing on stress management and life skills. A few things we're going to be discussing is what is stress management and what are life skills. So moving on, so what is our main units, our unit outcomes and objectives. We're going to be describing the current status of adolescent health. We're going to be identifying and describing the development of teens and the challenges they face. We're also going to be identifying what are typical teen stressors and the typical teen reactions to stress. Furthermore, we're going to also identify what life skills is and recite how they are learned and used as teens and into adulthood. These are kind of our main themes that we're going to be utilizing to help us understand stress. And this is going to keep us guiding our lessons as we move through that. All right, so the first thing, so why are we learning about stress? Stress management and life skills. Why are we learning? Well, there's a few reasons for it. Well, the first thing is stress is normal. A lot of times we don't think it's normal, but it really is. It's something that everybody experiences in their life. We want to understand what stress is, and we also want to understand how we manage our stress. And the main reason why we are learning this is how we can keep ourselves healthy when we are stressed. So these are some key reasons as to why we are studying this. Now, the current status of adolescent health. So this is something taken from the American Psychological Association. So this is something that is very valid information. What we're trying to understand is what is stress in America, especially for us teens. Well, they find that teens are under pressure and they face a troubling outlook compared to adults in our lives. What we understand is that teens report very similar stress to adults, and in fact, it's actually exceeding levels that are seen as healthy. So what that's basically saying is that the stress is becoming unhealthy, essentially. It's no longer a good thing. So one of the things, and you'll see here on the left side of your screen, is we're going to talk about some of those statistics. So for example, despite the impact that stress appears to have on their lives, teens are more likely than adults to report their stress levels and have a slight to no impact on the following. So bodily or physical health, which is about 54% of teens, and mental health, 52% of teens. Basically, this is saying that it has a slight to no impact on their stress has no impact to those things. However, nearly half of teens, 42%, report that they're not doing enough or weren't sure if they were doing enough to manage their stress. This is very important because what we're trying to understand is that teens often have stress in their lives, and that varies from person to person. And what may stress one person may not stress another. So, few teens said that their stress was on the decline. However, only 16% report that their stress decreased in the past year. Well, approximately twice as many said their stress increased in the past year, about 31%, or believe that their stress levels will increase in the coming year at 34%. That's a high number if to say stress is increased. And to be completely honest, teens are dealing with a lot more things than they were in the past. In our day and age, teens have a lot more things to think about. More teens are working. More teens are dealing with separation of households. You know, we have to deal with economic factors. And especially with the social media aspect in our lives, stress is at an all-time high. But it's also a new world that we're still learning about. Some other information that we need to understand about the current status of our adolescent health when it comes to stress is that nearly 1 in 5 teens, about 18%, that they have that when they do get enough sleep, they're more stressed when they're not getting enough sleep, is what that's saying. So at 36% of teens, they report feeling tired because of the stress in the past month. Teens who report high stress during the past school year also said they spend an average of 3.2 hours online a day. That's a lot of time spent on an electronic I myself on my cell phone have a thing that notifies me of how much time I spend on my cell phone. Um, what it doesn't account in for is like the notifications and when it lights up. And I'll be honest, I'm on it quite frequently, but I do have everything uploaded to my phone. So my emails get sent to me, my Snapchats, my phone calls, my text messages, Facebook notifications. All those things are linked to my phone. And if you think about it, 3.2 hours a day, that's a really significant amount of time. That's almost, about a sixth of my day if you think about it in a 24-hour period. That's a lot of time. So just something to keep in mind. And especially when we're dealing with the pressures and the stress from social media, and you're spending that amount of time, and if you think, you sleep about 8 hours a day, you're really not allowed on your phone for about 6 hours of the day because you're in school, that leaves you with not a whole lot of time, and about a third of that is spent on your phone. So it makes sense why we're a little more stressed. The last two things in here is that 1 in 5 teens, about 20%, report exercising less than once a week or not at all. The reason why I put that in there is because exercise is known to decrease stress, whether it's going for a walk, lifting weights, doing resistance exercises, going for a run. There's a variety of different exercising that can count. For me, in the summertime, I love to mow the lawn, and that's a great way for me to get a 20 to 30-minute workout. And that's pretty much walking, but I'm also pushing something. So it's a little bit of resistance training. And that helps decrease my stress. And that's something that works for me. Another thing I like to do is resistance training, and I like to lift weights, and that usually spend about 20 to 30 minutes, about 3 to 4 times a week. And that really helps me get some aggression out and some things that maybe I'm feeling. So it's important that we are exercising. But as you can see here, that 1 in 5 teens are not doing it at all, or at least less than once a week. So that says something there. The very last statistic we have is one of 23 percent, of the 23% of teens who report skipping a meal in the prior month due to stress. Nearly 1 in 4, which is 39%, said that they do this weekly or more. So stress can go one of both ways. It's either you eat too much or you eat too little. Oftentimes when you're stressed, you tend to eat less, but there are people that do stress eating. So this is something that to keep in mind, that again, people handle stress very differently. And sometimes people are emotional eaters and some people are not. For me, I'm an emotional eater. My favorite thing is to have some chips or, maybe get some coffee. That's kind of my way of dealing with my stress. But again, it varies from person to person. The very last thing here we have that we're going to be talking about are what are some common teen stressors? Well, oftentimes for our teens, it's friends, school, sex, parents, leaving home or going to, so basically college bound, becoming independent, relationships, gender identity, trying to figure out who we are as human beings, especially since there's a lot of, I should say there's not a lot of knowledge around relationships and gender identity. There's not a lot of understanding of if our parents get divorced, sex, what is it? How do we have it? Who can we have it with? Including that there's laws that surround it. School, getting into college, getting grades, taking a test. Maybe we can't read very well. Maybe we don't understand math. There's a lot of reasons as to why school can be stressful. Or maybe it is, we're doing really well and it pushes us. And friends, sometimes we have social problems with our friends. And friends, it tends to be a pretty high stressor when it comes to situations. So it's important for us to understand that there's a lot of common stressors. And these aren't all of them. It can be a lot more than this, and it gets down to more nitty gritty, which we'll be talking about as we continue through our lessons. So what is life skills? Well, life skills are the abilities and the behaviors that help you deal effectively with the events and the challenges of everyday life. They are the skills that allow you to handle everything from interactions with others to identifying and processing your emotions. So, essentially, life skills, again, is the abilities and behaviors that help you deal effectively. These are things we learn throughout our lives. It's not just something we are born with. Some things we are. I mean, we learn how to habitat and we learn how to breathe and we learn how to maybe defend ourselves. But a lot of these things are learned and things by the things we experience or things that our parents teach us, our friends teach us, life teaches us. I've learned a lot of life skills, and even in the last 10 years, because I've went through, my teenage years. I became a young adult, and now I am an official adult. And I pay my own bills. I get my own food. I drive a car, and I'm going to school. So these are all very big, important things that happen in our lives. So how are life skills typically learned? Well, they're developed throughout our lives in a variety of reasons, kind of like I just mentioned. No one person teaches us the facts about stress. Many unwritten societal norms create stress. We lack cultural norms and role models for managing our stress proactively, and few adults talk to young people about stress. So young people could be young adults or teenagers or even preteens, your younger siblings, if you have them, or younger cousins, or who else you may know that's younger than you. These are kind of the main core reasons as to why things aren't taught to us, and a lot of the reasons why our life skills aren't obtained. So this isn't why our life skills are learned. This is often why we struggle to learn our life skills. So keep in mind numbers 1 through 4 here is because we struggle to learn these things. So to summarize what we kind of just talked about, an overview of kind of what we'll be learning is that not learning about it, stress, what it is, how it affects us, how to manage it, and the life skills we need to deal to overcome it can cause us to do negative or harmful things to yourself or others that impact our lives now and in the future. The number one thing to remember, though, after doing our overview, is that we should also remember that we are learning about stress, and stress is not always negative. Stress can be a very positive thing. It can help us move forward. It can help us become a better person. It can help us get things done. So keep in mind that stress is not always negative. So this is the main thing we're going to be talking about. It's the main concept, but we'll be going into a lot more identified details as we continue to move forward. All right, so to kind of sum up and finish up here with our lesson, we're going to start with lesson 1, recognizing the beast. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Our learning outcomes, we're going to appreciate the wear and tear that stress inflicts on our living things. Compare the feeling of deep relaxation with those of stress, and explain the rationale for learning life skills. These are the 3 things that we're going to kind of focus on during our lesson 1 that we'll be able to do by the end of it. So what does stress look like? I personally picked this picture out because I love it. I think it identifies a lot with how people feel and see and handle stress. This is me a lot of the time, to be honest. If you were to open up my brain and you could see what stress looked like, it looks something like this. It's all jumbled up. It's all scribbles. It's a bunch of words. It's a bunch of feelings. It's a bunch of everything. And it's me trying to kind of put it together to kind of come up with a solution. This is something that can be very hard to understand and navigate. So stress is being able to identify what it is helps me understand it. Stress can look very different, and for across the board, again, amongst all living things, all creation of things. It could be us studying for homework. It could be our dog excited to see us. It could be our dog sad that we left and chewed up the pillow. It could be stress on Facebook because you posted a picture or maybe left a comment. It could be a Snapchat waiting from a boy or girl you like. It could be maybe stress with your parents, maybe you got in trouble or you didn't get a good grade, or you're really hoping that they're going to let you go to your friend's birthday party or go on a vacation, something. You can have stress from that. Even plants, I mean, in the habitat in nature, if there's stress to our ecosystems and our nature, it can dramatically affect and change who we are and how we function. So let's talk a little bit about a story. Like I mentioned, humans are not the only ones that have stress. So let's talk about Sadie's story. Sadie is a golden retriever that lived in her home for 11 years. She was brought home from a pet store and lived with her family since she was a puppy. Brianna was the daughter of the family that owned the puppy, that owned Sadie, and had a deep connection with Sadie, and said that when she moved, she would take her with her. Well, that time finally came, and Sadie moved with Brianna into their new home. And Sadie was happy because she was with her owner, had her bed, all her toys and food, but she was in a new environment and in a new home. This caused a lot of stress onto Sadie, and she began to have bathroom problems and behavior issues. Sadie started going into the bathroom on the carpet and in the house when she was left alone, and when Brianna went to work. Now, Sadie also would jump on the furniture and bark more than normal, kind of destroying and leaving marks on the furniture. Sadie once got stuck in a room and threw the frame off the door. And basically, Sadie was stressed. So let's discuss this. So why was Sadie stressed? Well, let's talk about that. She was stressed because she lived in an environment for so long and then was taken out of it and brought into a brand new environment. Dogs, just like humans, when we're comfortable and we get taken out of that, it becomes a very uncomfortable situation for us. And it causes our bodies and our minds to get a little dysfunctional. For Sadie, what did it look like? Well, she was having behaviors and she was barking more than normal. She was going to the bathroom. She was chewing on things she wouldn't normally chew on. And you know what? It maybe looked a couple other things may have happened there. And how did it change Sadie's behavior and possibly appearance? Well, Sadie's an older dog, so I bet she had more problems. Behaviors, as you saw, she maybe was a little bit more destructive of the things she had. She barked a lot more. These are things that kind of changed for Sadie. So make sure that you're able to answer these questions when you do your assignment. These are going to be some key things you're going to talk about as how things in living human things, not just humans, are affected by stress. So understanding life skills. So again, we need to understand that in order to do this, understanding our life skills, it helps us reduce stress over time. It gives a person more control over stress, creating experiences. It gives back strength, energy, peace, and enhances our life. And also promotes a sense of wholesome, of healthy psychological and physiological balance. Now, these results are produced if life skills are practiced often. So you can't just do it once in a while. You can't just do it when you're feeling stressed. You have to practice these continuously. And we'll talk a little bit more of what that looks like later. So, examples of relaxation. Well, relaxation is like deep breathing, making sure you're getting your physical activity in. Communication styles. How do you communicate with people? Supportive relationships, having friends that support you, even family members. Even if you have negative relationships with your family, maybe limiting that or how much you tell that family member. Life planning skills, plan for your life, create, think, and visualize what you want for yourself. For me, going to a 4-year school was a huge thing for me. I really wanted a 4-year education. I knew it was going to cost a lot of money. I knew I was going to be in a lot of debt, and I knew my parents could not help me. So therefore, I had to make plans as to how I was going to save money, how I was going to make money to go to school, and how I was going to manage that while I was getting my education. Positive self-talk is being able to talk to yourself in a positive manner, not saying, oh, I can't do this, or I suck, or I'm not smart. It's being able to turn that self-talk into a positive manner. Say, I don't understand this now, but I will later. I can't shoot a free throw now, but I will if I keep practicing. It's using that self-talk so you can achieve the goals you want to achieve. Again, there are many more life skills out there, so explore your options. You're not limited. And you'll find that as you continue through your life and as things happen for you in your life. So in order to learn, you need to have these 4 key things to be successful. You need to have a supportive environment. You need some structural learning. You need some practice. You need self-acceptance. These are 4 key things. Now, how you choose to look at that is up to you, and how you choose to change your life to meet these needs is also up to you. It looks different for everybody. I know that there's been people in my life, in my environment, that I've had to cut out because they weren't supportive for me anymore. I know that I had to do some learning on how to manage my stress and how to get myself healthy. I knew I had to practice that skill, and I knew I had to accept that I can't do everything, but I can try. And the fact that understanding and accepting myself for who I am helped me understand and be able to say that I am good enough and that I can manage my stress so I can live a healthy life. So, the last thing you're going to do is a relaxation exercise. You're going to choose video 1 or 2 and follow the video instructions. You're going to post your response to the discussion post called and stated Relaxation Exercise. And then you're going to answer the teen inventory relaxation worksheet. That's going to include some of the questions that we talked about previously in the slideshow. This is your class activity for the day. Once you complete these and get these in, you are done with your assignment. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Other than that, you're done for today, and we'll start with lesson 2 tomorrow. Thanks for hanging in there, and have a good day. Bye-bye.